Scooby? And wait, what did Scooby
Says a spooky stuff on
Hey cartoon fans, Velma, am I right? No, I'm not talking about the sometimes snarky mystery-solving clue hunter from Scooby Doo. I'm actually talking about everyone's favorite show that was announced in 2022, Velma. Yes, the one that exploded in popularity with everyone having a little hope in an adult version of Scooby Doo. But after seeing who was behind it, we started to question this thing. And well, when it released on HBO's streaming service in 2023, people hated it. And Scooby fans and people who didn't even know anything about Scooby-Doo all went to hate watch and talk about how trash this show was on different platforms. So much, in fact, that another season was announced, and it was even worse in my opinion. But you guys already know all that stuff because it's been years since the phenomenon blew up. And after sitting on it forever, I thought, why not talk about something no one else really has? The quote, good in Velma. And after watching both seasons and the Halloween special, it really drained me. And I'm not saying this show is good, it's below mid at its best, and at its worst, it's unwatchable. And it's the worst rated animated show, and it's in the top 10 worst shows of all time on IMDb, where it's sitting at a cool 1.6 out of 10 on average. And all that makes sense, but is it really all bad? That's what I'll find out today, as I'm going to show you guys that if you really look, there's one or two redeeming qualities to this horrible excuse for a Scooby-Doo show, so let's look at them. First off, I'm not reviewing this show or talking about the plot points, because one, everyone has watched this show by now, and two, you can watch someone else explain all that. What I want to do is tell you Scooby fans what you missed in the show while you were probably struggling to watch. From some recognizable voice actors to the background artists and producers, you'll be surprised with some of these references and Easter eggs, on top of like one or two jokes that were actually funny. Yes, there's only that many in this adult comedy. It's bad. So let's first look at season 1. Yeah, sure, there's a lot of obvious references, which we'll get at later, but there's also ones you might have missed, like a bunch of wanted posters in the police station of classic Scooby-Doo Where Are You villains. We got the fortune teller, the ghost clown, and Redbeard. See what I mean? It's pretty cool if you forget literally everything else about this show just to look at the Easter eggs. And you might be like, why even watch or talk about the show if you only care about finding references? And I would say that I want to have fun with this awful show. When I was watching it, I tried to forget this had anything to do with the Scooby Gang, and it kind of worked. Like, for example, Fred in this one, surprisingly voiced by Glenn Howerton. I don't know why he did this show, and his character was actually kind of funny because he was a stupid and dumb version of Fred, which we have seen before, but this is cranked up to 11, of course. And I think it worked in this kind of awful show. And of course, his dad, William Jones, was voiced by the actual Fred, Frank Welker, and these two actually had a pretty good stupid dynamic, with Fred's dad being super disappointed in how childish his son has become.
Thanks. You look... Why am I here?
He is the future CEO of Jones Gentlemen's Accessories.
Is he though?
Stop! Not in front of my gang!
See how I'm trying so hard to find something good here? That's kind of the point of this video. Even though it's a bad show, doesn't mean it's always bad. Another thing, for example, is the animation, which a few people have stated as the best part of the show. And yeah, it's okay. It's like Be Cool Scooby Doo, but occasionally during the show, there's moments of very well done animation, and even completely different animation, which harks back to the rubber hose era of animation for some reason. It's cool, and once again, I'm not saying this show is good. It's below mid at best, and at its worst, it's unwatchable. Anyways, back to the thing you probably didn't notice, like how Fred's house in this show looks a lot like the Kingston Mansion from I Don't Need to Tell You. And fun fact, a few other actual Scooby-Doo shows also have buildings that kind of look like the Kingston Mansion, which shows how iconic iconic this background is. Later in the show, we see Shaggy's room, and he's got a few interesting posters like one of Charlie the Robot and one of the Ghost of Mr. Hyde, both from Scooby Doo Where Are You, in a new style of artwork, which is neat. On top of that, in Daphne's room, we see a Hex Girls poster, and that won't be the last time we see them, as in season 2, we meet an older Thorn from the Hex Girls. But who cares about her when in the Halloween special, for a split second, we see a picture of the Hex Girls performing. It kind of doesn't even look like it came from this show. And above them in the picture is the young parents of the gang at a Halloween party. And if you look around, you can see plenty of classic Scooby-Doo monsters, like the Ghost Clown, the Snow Ghost, a whitewashed Captain Cutler, the Wolf Man, the Moon Monster, even the Sheik Ghost in Dracula if you want to make a stretch, and that future bug monster from the Scooby-Doo show. Very cool stuff here. And in that Halloween episode, the real ghost, the Black Knight, makes an appearance, and well, his name is literally Jeff P.T. Wickles. Could he be related? Also, Velma goes to hell in this episode, which I think is why it's the highest rated episode of the show. But then she comes back in the end, so that sucks. But just forget that part. Also, the Halloween episode is probably my favorite, besides when Fred goes to court.
Cutties. Mother, Cutties.
Oh my God, he is just like a little boy. Exactly.
The cost of your soul, dummy. My life is going straight to hell.
And no, these aren't good at all, but compared to the rest of the show, it's not as bad. Now, anyways, let's go back to season 1. In a flashback, we see Velma get her first of many hallucinations. In this one, we see the eyes straight out of the new Scooby-Doo movie's intro, and in a different hallucination, I noticed a picture in the background featuring the skeleton men from the Scooby-Doo show. And there's also many Hanna-Barbera properties here, like a lot of Captain Caveman, and the Flintstones theme being Fred's ringtone.
Fred? What are you doing in here?
It's her. What do I say?
And the Flintstones are used as a backdrop here, and we see Velma's dad and his girlfriend as the Jetsons in a quick scene. And in the Halloween special again, Shaggy and his girl dress up as Pinky and the Brain, as my friend pointed out, because I had no clue what this was referencing, but I knew it had to be something. And there's probably even more in this Halloween episode alone, because there's a lot of costumes. On top of the Hanna-Barbera references, there's some Warner Brothers ones, like when Fred returns his Catholic stuff when he became Catholic for his spooky stuff hunting business. Long story. But we see a nativity of the Looney Tunes characters. And speaking of Fred, there's some other ones where it references the original art style of Fred, and there's also one for Velma and Daphne too. Pretty throwaway stuff that, and back to that Halloween episode, because when Shaggy is getting dressed in a costume store, we see the Space Kook in all his glory, and a strange looking Frankenstein's monster or the Creeper, I don't really know, and a bunch of masks like the Ghost Clown, a skeleton, the Wolf Man, the Ape Man or Caveman, and Dracula. And of course, like I just mentioned, in season 2, Fred creates his spooky hunting business with his crapshoot of a mystery machine, but his whole side quest of hunting ghosts is funny in the second season.
Now, Fredo, this holy water will protect you from the scaries and the spookies.
Once again, I keep going all over the place. So back in season 1, we see the craziest reference yet, a picture of Mayor Nettles from Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated in the mayor's office. That is insane, as the Velma show takes place in Crystal Cove, which feels a lot like a middle finger to the best Scooby Doo show. Because why does the worst show have to reference the best one? Really shows how awful of a show this is if they gotta stoop that low. Speaking of mayors, Shaggy's dad in the Velma show is voiced by none other than the amazing Gary Cole. And if you know Ball, you would recognize him as Fred's mayor dad, and besides the sheriff, my favorite character in Mystery Incorporated. So seeing the same voice actor in this show really helped me get through it, as Shaggy's dad is a pretty fun character that had a lot of potential if this show was good.
And me, his father, Lamont Rogers. Here for a Rogering, as we might say. Help me get reelected as mayor.
Make me 40,000 copies of this campaign pamphlet.
Back to the bad show, unfortunately, when Velma and Fred go investigate the Crystal Mines exhibit, when we see the caveman in a new getup from Scooby Doo, Where Are You? And under them, in the actual Crystal Cove mines, we see the Miner 49er reduced to a sign. But when Daphne goes down there to look for her real parents, it'll make sense if you watch the show, she's on a boat with a speaker playing or mocking Casey Kasem, depending on how you take it.
I'm Casey Kasem, here to guide you through America's 40th most popular mine.
And if you didn't know, Shaggy was originally played by the GOAT, Casey Kasem, all the way until Mystery Incorporated once more, as his last role was for Shaggy's dad in that show. When we get out of the caves, we go to the sea, as Velma and her dad catch the ghost of Captain Cutler in a fun scene that reminds me a lot of the Scooby Doo Pirates movie, where something similar happens. Then Velma thankfully goes to jail, where we see some writing in the corner, like one saying Space Kook and another saying Charlie was here. Like Charlie the robot, maybe? Then we see the Creeper. That's about all though. Then in the beginning of season 2, in Daphne's mom's room, there's a picture of the 10,000 volt ghost for whatever reason. Then later in season 2, we see a nod to the green ghost from Scooby Doo, Where Are You? But in my opinion, this one looks more like the one from Be Cool Scooby Doo, if you know, you know. Then we see a flashback of the gang's parents in high school, and Shaggy's dad has a helmet on with a ghost clown card on it. Then back to the Halloween episode, hopefully the last time, we see a bunch of zombies rise from the grave, and one of them looks a lot like a Confederate zombie from Scooby Doo on Zombie Island. Like a lot, and it's pretty cool. And finally, the biggest one of them all, the corpse of Scooby Doo himself under Crystal Cove. Is it Scooby? Is it a dinosaur? Who knows? But other than that, we have the second biggest one, Scrappy Dappy Flippin' Doo, everyone. And he kills Velma. After it's revealed the big bad behind everything was Velma's dad's girlfriend, now wife, who was under the code name for the military, Uncle Scooby. And her accomplice was none other than Scrappy, in a whole brain-switching military operation also called Scooby. What the heck is this show? Let's forget all that and finish this video, because that's all she wrote. Velma is a horrible show, but there are some things that don't make it as bad. And I wanted to make this for you to show the people who don't want to watch it that they're not missing much. But there's still some cool things that, if you really look for them, they're there. I mean, and I commend the background artists and casting people for trying a little bit. This show had a lot of potential and just wasted it all due to bad producers, directors, and whatnot. But there's still hope for us Scooby fans. Netflix is making a live-action Scooby show that will be more mature, so we'll see how they do. Hopefully, it's not anything like Velma. And something else I saw you guys comment about when I was announcing that I would do this video is that this show is so bad that it gives light to other Scooby shows that were originally disliked. And once people watch those again, they realize that they aren't really bad at all. Like Be Cool Scooby Doo and Shaggy Scooby Doo Get a Clue, which are some of my favorites just for how funny and comedic they are. And above all, don't watch Velma. It sucks. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to join this cartoon community, and that's all for today's strange video. See ya!
I'm stuck again.
That's the same spot you were stuck in before. Now come back here!